So I'm taking this time between Passover and Shavuot to study some different scriptures, different to study some different scriptures that would fall in those times. So if you're studying the Old Testament, Exodus 12 starts the Passover, and it's going to lead up to Shavuot, which is when the Torah was given to Moses on the mountain. If you're reading the New Testament, it's Acts. You know, Christ is our Passover lamb. He has been crucified. He has risen from the dead. And he's visited, and now he's left, and you're waiting the 50 days for Pentecost. So these two align. At any rate, I'm in Exodus today, and I'm in Exodus 15. And one of the things that I'm finding most fascinating is that they have just been saved from the Egyptians, and they do this song and this dance, and they're so excited. 3 days passes. They can't find any water. The water that they did find was bitter. Moses throws a stick into it. The word says a certain piece of wood, which he threw into the water and made the water taste good. There, 3 days after escaping Pharaoh, that a stick in the water makes it taste good. There, Adonai made laws and rules of life for them. And there, he tested them. He said, if you will listen intently to the voice of Adonai, your God, do what he considers right, pay attention to his mitzvot, observe his laws, I will not afflict you with any diseases that I brought on the Egyptians, because I am Adonai, your healer. This is before the Torah was given to Moses. They had the ability to hear his voice. It says, if you will listen intently to the voice of Adonai, your God. So before the rule book was given to them, before the laws were actually written and inscribed on tablets and then added to as needed, they could hear his voice. It wasn't just Moses. It wasn't just Moses and Aaron. It wasn't just Moses and Aaron and their sister. They had the ability to hear the voice of God. We have the ability also to hear the voice of God. That's why Jesus could say that my sheep know my voice. So I just encourage you. I encourage you to ask him to do whatever is necessary in us to make our hearing more clear. That we, with our hearts, we want to obey your law, Lord. We want to obey. We want to hear and obey. We want to hear and quickly obey. And all the stirring of all the thoughts and all the things that could keep us captured, we want freedom for that, because we want to freely hear your voice and do your will. And it's very possible. The next thing that caught my eye was the word testimony. You know, the first time the word testimony is mentioned in Exodus, or in the word, it is in Exodus, and it's in reference to manna, the manna that was given by God to the people. He commands Aaron to put some away, and the putting away of that is a testimony of what God has done for them. So it's important that we share our testimony, that we just pull it out and look at it sometimes and remember what God has done. I had the wonderful opportunity to work with 2 girls last Friday, and one of the girls, I don't know that well, and she doesn't know me that well. She didn't know my story, and I don't know her story, but we're just talking and sharing. And I will testify of the goodness of God, even in hard times. You know, because that time in my life was not what I considered to be anything good at all. Yet God was working and He was moving. I didn't see it because I was in the midst of the storm. After I got through sharing just that small portion of my testimony with her, so we should be able to testify of the goodness of God every day. So after I get through testifying, it just put a different air to me. It was like, oh Lord, I had forgotten that. I had forgotten that. So I'm going to praise you today for that thing that happened 5 years ago. I'm going to praise you today for that thing that happened 5 years ago. When I was a little girl, there were times that my parents would go to the Rehoboth Baptist Church. And sometimes it would be like singing and testifying. That was always my favorite, like the 5th Sunday of the month, where you don't have like preaching, you just have singing and testifying. And you pick out your favorite hymns. And there was one lady, I'll never forget her as long as I live, and she always wanted to sing that song, count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your blessings, see what God has done. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your many blessings, see what God has done. And it's so true. So let's, as we're counting omers, let's count our blessings and prepare our hearts during this waiting time. And let's just anticipate the greatness of Shavuot.